Hey everybody, how have you been? It's really good to see you. It's been a minute since I've made any YouTube content, and I wanted to really just make a video to remind you that there is an open door in my mind that remains open, that is always sort of saying, well, close the door on YouTube. And when I say that, I mean create some content, be proactive with YouTube, do something on YouTube, speak your vision into the world. And I really just want to catch up with you and let you know how I'm really doing. Really kind of express kind of genuinely what's going on with me. I am coming up on about 9 months as a psychiatric nurse on an adolescent inpatient unit. I have been working overtime for almost 6 of those months. I have been nose to the grind, pushing, pushing, pushing. And I would be dishonest if I didn't tell you that the financial incentive wasn't pushing me to continue at that level. I was going full steam ahead. And now that we are during the summer, the census is beginning to drop, and I have kind of the freedom to maybe not work as much. And I'm trying to plan a trip where I can spend some time kind of away, kind of reconnecting, right? Really coming to better understand who I am and what I feel and what I value. And I wanted to make this video to talk about a dynamic theme in my life. That is, we as idealists, that is, if you are an idealist, we have a grandiose sort of narcissism to our vision. We really do. We say the world ought to be this way, people shouldn't be this way. But what we tend to do is we fail to show up to ourselves in a very responsible and disciplined way. I've talked about this a lot. This idea that we need to, in order to change the world, change ourselves. And what could be more genuinely true than that? But in order to change ourselves, we need to exercise our freedom of the will, our agency, our volition, our God-given ability to allocate our attention in more self-responsible ways. And that to me is what my dream is about. When I become a psychotherapist, I want to instill the genuine belief, the hope that that person can participate fully, responsibly in pursuing a good life. Yes, that is the ideal. But how do I inspire within my clients that forthright, genuine belief? I do it through my own sense of self, my own equanimity, my sense of peace. As an Enneagram 9, we've talked about that quite a bit. I have to become more self-responsible, more disciplined. And while I have been pursuing and making a lot of money, I have been emotionally less sensitive and aware of my own being, my own self-credibility. You see, probably the biggest theme that has come up for me is I've been working in this psychiatric industry where we have a short-term model of care, where we are incentivized by stabilization in the short term using medical interventions. And when we use the medical interventions, we tend to ignore the reality of the body, that is to say, the health of the physical body, the way that the mind is interacting with the body, and actually the bidirectional nature of that phenomena, because there is a very real sickness of the body that influences the health of the mind and of the soul, if you would like to speak that way. So I have grown more aware of what is missing. You see, I am a healer. I know what it takes to help. And it takes relationship, number one. But a certain kind and quality of being related. That kind of relationship that instills hope, yes, peace, great faith in the goodness of life. It instills a sense of creative force, an energy towards life, but one that is regulated, one that has its ups and downs within the context of what makes life what it is. A grand narrative that can be tragic, yes, full of joy in moments. Goodness, I speak of, I was most recently at a coffee shop interacting with this 1.5-year-old girl, and she was so beautiful, so pure, so full of what I think of as soul. Yes, God was there within that child. If I could only be sensitive enough to God in the world, I would know that all the time. So the point remains that I have grown to become less sensitive to the reality of healing relationship as I have spent time in this inpatient psychiatric setting. But I've become, as I've taken some time off, just a little bit, more convicted in what is actually needed to heal. That is, a better relationship to our physical bodies and our human relationships, and probably in that order for the vast majority of Americans. That is, we don't feel compelled or incentivized to heal our relationships, to take responsibility, if we do not feel good. You see, it is the affective qualities that drive human motivation. This is very important for everybody to understand. If you want to help, if you want to do something good, you have to instill an emotional meaning, an emotional salience that can drive people to make changes. Yes. That is an affective approach rather than a cognitive approach. And we can synthesize this understanding by asking, what drives positive affect? What drives emotional regulation? And what we know is that there is a circadian rhythm. There are hormonal and neurochemical processes that undergird how we regulate our mood. How profoundly fascinating is this, you guys? And we have things that we can do, evidence-based interventions that are so much better than medicines for the vast majority of Americans to try to approach the treatment of mental conditions. One of those is physical exercise. One of those is getting good sleep. But I think the big mover, to be honest with you, is diet. If we remove the sources of stress in our lives, and we learn to tolerate stressors in the right kinds of ways, we become resilient. We become courageous and strong. We do that by disciplining our bodily desires. But there's a context for that. There's a context to learn how to do that. I ended up going on a rant here, but you can see the passion. See this? It's back. All I needed was like 3 days off. Some time to take care of myself and to see the picture again. But do not forget who you are. You are made in the image of God. You want life and you want to be good. And that starts with a relationship to yourself that is more genuine, authentic, forthright, that holds a space for pain and suffering. Yes, that is where greatness comes from. It is not in this idealized vision. It is when we see what is good so clearly and we have the humility to see where it is. We have work to do. And we support each other in that process. I want to reinforce my passion. I want to instill healing within people. I want to help people change, to be better, to heal families. But remember, we do that through what kind of model of care? Do we do that through a medical model of care? No. We do that through a psychosocial model, a model that respects the organ that we are seeking to treat, that is the brain. And if we hope to treat the brain, we treat the body. And we reap the rewards of good outcomes. I believe it, and I hope for it, and I will dream to continue on a path that can honor that vision. So if you found this interesting, helpful, inspiring, or anything at all, I would invite you to comment below to let me know how this has inspired you, or perhaps something about your journey to better mental health, i.e. better spiritual and psychological flourishing in your life. I would love to know what you think and your own personal thoughts. Alrighty, if you found this interesting, like the video, and if you want to see more from me and you're new, stick around. I'd love to see you.